Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Big Purple Blob Morning Show. My name is Katie Fowle, and I'm a reading specialist for children who are having difficulties reading in international schools. And my family and I also had the privilege of serving and supporting my husband's 18-year career, where we moved 5 consecutive times. So we started in Lagos, Nigeria, then we went to Dar es Salaam, Tanzania, Djibouti, Ulaanbaatar, Mongolia, which was like the coldest place on earth or warmest place on earth to the coldest place on earth, then to Jakarta, Indonesia, and then we had our repatriation back to the United States. And one of the reasons why I shared all those locations with you is because our lifestyle, or the Foreign Service lifestyle, the high mobility, has a lot of opportunities and can also bring up some challenges. And so today we're going to look at how to develop and help our children develop healthy relationships, because we know that high mobility can really affect a child's identity, sense of belonging, and relationships. And I didn't really get this as a mom because my husband and I love the international life. We love moving to all those crazy places. We love the vacations that our family took. I had grown up my whole life in Madison, Wisconsin. My husband had grown up his whole life in Traverse City in Michigan. So we loved the adventure and the lifestyle of it all. And it wasn't until we repatriated back to the United States and my oldest daughter came home one day and she said, "Mommy, what American football team do we cheer for?" And my youngest daughter said, "Mommy, I feel different from everybody else." That I realized that this high mobility can affect kids. So we're going to get to how to help support our kids in developing healthy relationships. But before I do that, I really wanted to recommend 2 books to help with this whole parenting third culture kids. And the first is by Lauren Wells, Raising Up a Generation of Healthy Third Culture Kids. And I'll put this all in the notes of our podcast or video. And the second is The Bible of Third Culture Kids Growing Up Among Worlds by David and Michael Pollack and Ruth Van Reken. So those 2 books as parents give you great theoretical but also practical ways to support your children in this highly mobile life, especially in terms of identity, belonging, and developing healthy relationships. So today, let's look at developing healthy relationships, and that's both with the family and also with their peers. And we know that high mobility, moving, COVID, these are all layers that have definitely impacted our children's ability to make and maintain healthy relationships. So the first relationship that we're going to talk about is our relationship with our kids. And I'm going to tell you a story about our last year in Jakarta. My husband had deployed to Iraq, and it was our 4th year. We decided to stay, and we couldn't shelter in place there because we couldn't. So I was teaching at the time at the Jakarta Intercultural School, and I love my job, and the girls love the school. And so we decided to transition under my teacher contract and stay in Jakarta for that 4th year while my husband deployed to Iraq. And the reason why that was important is because I didn't recognize the emotional impact that being a single mom in another country with a really challenging classroom was going to have on me. And what happened as a mom is I became overwhelmed. And I became so overwhelmed. When I read about burnout now, I realized that I kind of had parent burnout, that I emotionally withdrew from the girls who at the time were 4th and 2nd grade. And they didn't have that consistency from me that they needed. And so from that experience, I learned that I needed to take care of myself so that I could show up and be responsive to my girls. Because when children feel that strong sense of attachment, that strong sense of safety and security from us as their primary caregivers, then they can handle these other trials and tribulations that come with challenging, developing friendships with peers. So the first relationship that we want to check in on is our relationship with our kids. Are our kids feeling safe, secure? Do they feel like they can count on us to listen, to be curious about their interests, to be showing them attention and letting them know that they're more important than our job? And these are all things that you can check in on yourself and see if your child is feeling secure attachment with you and hopefully your spouse as well. But that's the most important relationship. And we have complete control over that as the parent, right? Okay, and if you need help with that, there are great parent coaches in our Big Purple Blob that you can seek out help from. Highly recommend. Okay, second thing that we're going to look at then, let me check my notes, is making sure, okay, so we have secure attachment with our child. Our child feels seen, soothed, secure in their relationship with us. So the next thing we can start to do to help our child with forming healthy relationships is starting to help them with their emotions. Now, because that emotions are how we're experiencing the world. And I did not grow up in a house where we talked about emotions. I grew up in Madison, Wisconsin, a Protestant family. It was like, you do your work, you don't even get a good job, and you keep going and you just assume everything is okay. So I kind of didn't learn how to feel my emotions. And that's why I think I became quickly overwhelmed in Jakarta that last year. So how do we start to get in touch with how we're feeling so that we can be validating of our kids' emotions? Let me give you an example. Before I started understanding my emotions and being able to support my children's emotions, Rhea or Manya used to, they might have said, "Oh, nobody likes me, mommy," or I don't have any friends. And I might have been kind of dismissive and been like, "Oh, yes, you do. Remember so-and-so?" And kind of tried to problem solve it and kind of dismiss their emotions. But then what would happen is they wouldn't feel seen or understood, or they wouldn't think that what they were experiencing was valid. And so when we can start validating our children's emotions, they can start to feel seen and understood. And this is really hard to do as a parent. I remember one time Rhea came home, and I think this was when we had repatriated back to the United States, and we were thinking that we were going to go back out to Kyrgyzstan. And Rhea said, "Well, maybe I just won't even try to make friends here because I know we're leaving again." And I'm sure some of you can identify with that. And I was like, ugh, like stab in the heart, awful. And, previous me would have been like, "Oh, Rhea, come on, you can make a friend here." But in order to validate Rhea's emotions, I was like, "Yeah, man, it sounds like it's really hard. You sound really sad and frustrated to have to make friends. It kind of even sounds like you want to maybe give up on making a friend here." And she totally felt seen. She felt understood. So learning how to validate your children's emotions is a huge skill I've had to learn how to do as a parent, but it pays off huge because then your child starts to understand themselves and what they're experiencing inside, and you start coaching them through. One of our Big Purple Blobbers, Jennie, has a podcast, Expat Mom, where she goes into 4 episodes about how to be an emotional coach for your child. I will make sure to put that in the show notes. All right. So the first thing we talked about was making sure our relationship, our attachment with our child was safe, secure, and they felt like seen and understood by us. The second thing we talked about is learning how to be our child's emotional coach by validating their emotional experience, not being dismissive, not being not paying attention to it. And you can learn how to do that in the show notes from Jennie's podcast. Okay. And I can put some other resources in there too. Okay. Third thing. All right. So we're attuned to our child. We are validating their emotions. Okay, Katie, now how do we help them problem solve making a friend when they've just maybe moved 3 times in the last year? All right. Younger kids, this is much easier, right? Because younger kids aren't worried about what other kids are thinking about them. They're more, they don't have that developmental stage. Younger kids, they're looking to do that kind of parallel play. So teaching your little 4, 5, 6-year-old how to observe what other kids are doing and then going in and playing alongside of them, or asking them, hey, can I join in? Or if they see that the kids are playing in the sandbox, maybe they pick up a toy and go to the sandbox and start building in the sandbox too. You can do role play with younger kids, like, hey, let's pretend that I'm playing football over here, or I'm playing soccer over here, and you want to join. How would you show me that you do that? So role playing is another great way to help younger kids learn how to engage in play and try to make a new friend. Also make sure that you're doing the opposite. So if you're role playing how to ask to join play, you also want to be helping your child understand what happens if kids don't want you to play. They say no. What can you do? And what you're doing for children is teaching them the social skills, but also teaching them the emotional skills. So, what happens if someone doesn't want you to play? What are you going to do? Are you going to throw the sand toy? Are you going to take a deep breath and walk away? These kind of skills, these social and emotional skills, where we can be teaching our small children through the kind of role play, through storybooks. One of my favorite storybooks to talk about friendship is Chester's Way by Kevin Hinckus. It's a wonderful story about two best friends, and then a new friend moves to town, and how they incorporate the new friend into their group. For older kids, okay, so talking about what qualities are you looking for in a friend here? What qualities are you not looking for in a friend? Sometimes our kids might come home and be really angry, and they don't really know why they're angry, but they're angry because they don't have anyone to connect with. So, having that time to just have conversations, checking in with your child, how are you doing? So qualities, what qualities make a good friend? What qualities don't make a good friend? Preteens, do you want to vent or do you want to problem solve? Because maybe they just want to vent to you, and that's okay too. And making sure that the, older elementary, middle, and high school, that they're maintaining those relationships with their old friends. I think, technology is great for this, all the WhatsApp groups, the online gaming. I think one thing parents are concerned about at times, which I'm still trying to figure out too, is, how much online friendship versus real life friendship. And I know during COVID, that was really hard to do. I'm noticing in my own children, the more that they're able to interact with real people, the happier they seem. So kind of gauging your child and their emotional state, but maintaining those old relationships is very valuable too, to their well-being. All right. And then one thing I also like to keep perspective of for my own kids is all those people in their life beyond their peer group that make them feel like they matter, that they love, or they feel love from. And when I was working with a group of kids who were transitioning and moving places, we came up with the name Your Pound People Playlist. So this is your list of people who make you feel like you matter. These can be aunties, uncles, cousins, family friends, old coaches, old teachers, old friends. But this is the web of relationships that surrounds your child, no matter where they move in the world. And being active as a parent, like one thing we had to do, not what had to do, but one thing we did for our daughter, one of our daughters, was my husband's father would call every week and just have a conversation with our youngest daughter when she was going through a really hard time. So asking some family friends, asking family to check in on your kids on a regular basis could be another layer of support, especially if you're having a hard time, so that your child feels that web of relationships around them. Another thing that we did when it was during COVID time, so if you're still in isolation, we reached out to some family friends that were professionals, or actually he was a biology teacher, and he had our daughter join his biology class to participate. So if there's any familial or friend relationships where your child can learn or connect or do something with other people that make them feel like they matter, that is another great way to strengthen that web of relationships around your child. So also reaching out to your child's school counselor, your child's teacher, letting them know, like maybe you've had an authorized departure and your child has moved from homeschooling to, international school, back to homeschool, back to international school. Please let your child's teacher know that, because one thing they can be doing is building in the sports, especially maybe at unstructured time like lunch or recess, making sure that your child has a friend or a buddy that they are sitting with. So that could be done through your child's teacher, your child's school counselor, and just making sure that that strong sense of belonging is in the family too. So those rituals and those routines that make you feel like you belong within the family. We do prayer before bed. We have Friday night pizza. We have our morning meditation. So those rituals and routines that make you feel connected and make your children feel connected and they belong to the family also helps buffer the stress that maybe if they haven't found a peer friendship yet, allows them to feel that sense of belonging and relationship. So I hope those three ways: first, your relationship with your child; second, helping your child by becoming an emotional coach, so that those emotions that they're feeling when they're trying to make new friends are validated by you and they feel seen and understood. And third, activating that problem solving to help your child develop agency about what qualities are you looking for in a new friend, what qualities aren't you looking for in a new friend, and how can we help support you in finding that friendship here. And last but not least, maintaining those old relationships and making your child recognize that web of relationships that supports them no matter where they live in the world. And I will make sure to put resources in the chat to help you have the two books that are great in understanding third culture kids, identity, belonging, and relationships, as well as the emotion coaching episodes by our very own Jennie from the Big Purple Blob. And if you are struggling as a parent and feeling like you can't show up for your kids, hey, I've been there. Don't worry about it. Reach out to one of our parent coaches who can help give you the support or transition you to therapist if you need it, because your child needs you most. And I hope you guys have a great week. Tune in next week for the Big Purple Blob, as we are here to support you, the foreign service spouse, with the unique opportunities and challenges that this life can bring. All right, have a good week. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Big Purple Blob Morning Show. It has been a pleasure to share our stories with you today. Now we want to hear from you. Tell us your story. Let us know your biggest challenge that you face at post or back in the States. We also want to know what type of parenting support you need at this time. To connect with us, visit our website at thebigpurpleblob.com. If you found today's episode helpful, please share with your friends in the American Mission community. And remember, we want to hear from you because we are here for you.